Hi there. Welcome back to another episode of Down Home Gaming with Andrew. This is going to be a very special episode, not in the sense that 1980s sitcoms had special episodes, but today I got a special delivery from Amazon. So, without further ado, here it is. It is the Atari 400 Mini. I've mostly stayed out of the miniature console space for the most part. The only miniature console I've actually bought was a Super NES Classic. But, this Atari 8-bit has a soft spot in my heart, and when I heard they were going to put this out, I just decided, what the heck. And even though I thought this was just going to be another novelty, I'm a lot more delighted with this machine than I expected it to be. So, let's take a look. So, this is the box. The Atari 400 was the first of Atari's line of 8-bit computers that were based off the 6502 processor. First released in the late 70s alongside a more expensive version called the Atari 800. The Atari 400 had 4K of RAM, and it had a cheap membrane keyboard. The Atari 800 had 8K of RAM and a more expensive, full keyboard. Atari made many revisions to this line of computers over the years. They later came out with the Atari 800 XL, which had 64K of RAM, and then finally the 130XE, which had 128K of RAM. That's actually the one that my family had when I was growing up. And then eventually they even made the 130XE into a console called the XE Game System that was meant to try to compete against the NES and the Sega Master System. It didn't do too well, unfortunately, but it could also have a keyboard attached to it, which would expand it out into a full Atari computer. The Atari 8-bit line finally disappeared around the end of the 80s. When IBM PCs with VGA graphics really started taking over the computer market. But it had a lot of interesting games. I've always called it the second best gaming system of the 80s after the NES. Alright, let's take a look at it. So, this panel of the Atari 400 Mini has pictures of all the different models of Atari this supports. That's the Atari 800 XL. That's actually the Atari 5200. Now, the 5200 was based on the same architecture as the Atari 8-bit line. But unlike with the Atari 8-bit line, you can actually use a regular Atari joystick or a Genesis controller with the Atari 8-bits. The top one is the XE Game Machines. This one is the Atari 800. And that one on the far right is the Atari 130XE, which is the one I had. So I'm going to aim my camera down here. You get to see what's behind the green screen here. But that's for purposes so I can unbox this and show you what it's got in it. I've already kind of broken the seal, but just really excited about this machine. Okay, so it opens up the front. Okay. Okay. This is our Atari 800 Mini. The keyboard does not function on this. And of course, the cartridge slot doesn't either. All the games are run off of ROMs that are in the system. So, anyway, this is the 800. Okay. Or the 400. On the back of it, it's got an HDMI port, USB-C port for the power, and a USB port for a thumb drive so you can load more games onto it. On the front are 4 USB slots for controllers, and I think also for a keyboard, so you can attach a functional USB keyboard to it. We're going to set that over here. Right, this is the instruction. This is the instruction manual for it. Okay. Put all that aside for now. I'm going to pack it up and put the box on my shelf, so it'll look cool. Alright. And then this is the controller, which is meant to be based on the famous Atari controller. There are a few differences from the original Atari controllers, however. See, the ring around the controller acts as buttons as well. They help control the system. This is also a USB connected device. The original Atari controller had a 9-pin connector similar to the Sega Genesis, and you could actually use Genesis controllers on Ataris. These are 2 more control buttons, and then this is the fire button. Alright, we're going to go ahead and start assembling this. Plug this joystick into the machine up front. I imagine it also takes controllers like PlayStation, Xbox, 8-bit though. And a USB controller should be compatible. Okay, this is the cables that come with it. This is a USB power cable. It doesn't come with a brick. But I have a power strip that has a USB port on it, so. Got it connected to power. It's got a HDMI cable with it, but I've got a HDMI cable attached to my capture card because I'm getting ready to use it for this. So I'm going to hook that to the HDMI port on my Atari. On the back here is a power button. Okay, and then the last thing I'm going to attach is this. That's a thumb drive. It's got all my games I'm going to load on there. So I'm going to plug that in. Okay. And I think we're ready to get this show on the road. Got too much stuff on my desk. Alright, so I'm going to fire up the power button. Okay. Alright. Alright, so the Atari 400 comes with 25 games preloaded on it. Usually a curated best of the best of the Atari 8-bit, also from whatever license holders they could get to, they could sign up this. Yeah, this is one of my favorites, Boulder Dash. It also has Centipede, Crystal Castles, Encounter, Flip and Flop, Henry's House, Hover Bover, which I actually did a video on, Millipede, Miner 2049er, which I also did a video on. Centipede were among my mom's favorites. Let's go ahead and give one of the preloaded games a try. I think I'll do Boulder Dash. The emulation on this doesn't appear to be quite perfect. I also heard this on another YouTuber's video on this Atari 400. But other than that, it plays very splendidly. Boulder Dash is one of my favorite games on the Atari 8-bits. Object is to dig through the dirt and find diamonds and avoid getting crushed by boulders. So I'm just going to play a level on it. Check out some other games on this. Alright, you push the top button to go back to the main menu. Alright, let's see. What else can I try? Battlezone is actually one you don't see on Atari collections much because I think Atari sold off the rights to Battlezone. Maybe they got them back at some point. Oh, and this console, like all modern mini consoles, also has save states. So this is a game from Synapse Software called Encounter, which is like Battlezone. I can never get this one to work on my computer, so I did play this on the original Atari 8-bit. Whoops. Those missiles are kind of a pain. Got me too. And these missiles just keep flying at you and flying at you. So play through the end of this level. Alright. You have to get through this warp sequence every time you hit a new level. If you don't complete the warp sequence without getting killed, you have to redo the level all over again. Alright, so that's Encounter. Let's see. You got some save game slots for your save states. So, top refers to the ring around the Atari controller, which, like I said, are also buttons. All right, so that's enough for this one here. Lee is it's actually called Bruce Lee, but I think they had to take the Bruce part of it off because of conflicts with Bruce Lee's estate. So it's just called Lee now. Still the same game. Alright, let's see what we got on the memory stick here. So Alternate Reality is one of my favorites on the Atari 8-bit. It's one of my first RPGs, along with Ultima 3 and Dragon Quest. I don't have all the discs loaded onto this, so I'll have to get another copy of disc 1, side 1. Let's see. Try this one, Natural, which is a German game. I've done a video on it before. Alright. Alright, and then you can also tweak the settings out. Different configurations of the Atari. They do different things. Ahead and one thing, when you first start the Atari 400 up, it gives you the opportunity to either choose 50 megahertz mode, which was common in Europe with the PAL resolution, or 60 megahertz mode, which was common in North America with the NTSC standard. I chose North American standard because I'm an American, and it seems like the music plays a lot faster in the North American version, so I'm more used to that. Anyway, this is Natural. Some configurations, Natural works correctly. I think in the 130XE, there's just some kind of glitch in it that caused it to not work the way it should. Alright, let's try another one. See what Boulder Dash looks like on this. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and clear off this. I need to adjust the screen on this. The screen is a little off center, but there are settings that will let you. Let's see, vertical offset. Okay, so yeah, readjust the vertical offset a little bit more. Alright, that's better. Yeah, almost. Alright, so I need to adjust it one more time. Anyway, this version of Boulder Dash actually sounds better than the one that's packed in. It runs beautifully, the sound sounds perfect. You know, this really is a good, neat little machine. I'm really quite surprised by it. You know, I didn't expect it to be, thought it might be fun, but I didn't expect it to be as good as it is. So I'm really pleased that I got it. So, alright, let's try another one, and I want to show you basic real quick. Let's see. Donkey Kong. Now, the Atari 8-bit version of Donkey Kong was probably the best home version of Donkey Kong available until at least Donkey Kong 94 on Game Boy, as well as the Arcade Archives version of the arcade game. So let me kind of show you. Alright. It sounds just like the arcade. The graphics are probably better on the NES, but the sound, I like the sound better on the Atari for this game. Just sounds more like the arcade game. This is the Cement Factory level. This was missing from most home versions of Donkey Kong, including the NES version due to memory constraints, but somehow they managed to get it fitted in on the Atari 8-bit version, so... I mean, this is the closest I've seen to the arcade Donkey Kong up until, Arcade Archives. I'll still even play this version, even though I do have Arcade Archives Donkey Kong. And Donkey Kong is my all-time favorite arcade game, so... Alright, let's see if I can finish this level. Alright. This is really a good little machine. You know, this is gonna be something fun to play with for quite a long time, I think. Alright, let's try something else. Okay. And then it also includes basic. So you gotta clear out the... Let's see if I can find a basic game that'll work. You know, for basic, I really need to... Basic, you really need a keyboard. So I can't really do much with it. The keyboard on the Atari 400 Mini is not functional, but it does support USB keyboards. And you can actually type in full basic programs on it, which there are magazines that are archived on the internet, like Antic and Analog. And these magazines always came with a few games and other programs that you could type in from their pages in BASIC and then run them. Hopefully you typed them in all correctly, because they could have hundreds of lines. And some BASIC programmers were pretty clever with the BASIC language, so but hopefully I'll be able to share with you the joys of some of these BASIC games on my channel. But for right now, I can't really do much, just because I don't have a keyboard attached to this. So we're going to go ahead and back out of it. See if we can get Corona's Rift to run. That one, I think, will need a little bit of tweaking before I can get it to run. Let's see. And I wonder if maybe that one was meant to run with the PAL version. Try 800XL. No, not quite. So that one's going to take a little bit of tweaking. Let's see. Olin, which is also by LucasArts, may need a similar level of tweaking. So see. Let's do one more game and just take a quick look at it. Let's see. So this is Seamus by Catherine McTaggart. It's basically a version of Berserk, where you play as a robotic detective whose job it is to foil the Shadow. Alright. There's actually a version of Seamus on Game Boy as well that I have. There's also an extra button on the Atari controller that I have, and I guess that's good for left-handed people. runs beautifully, sounds beautifully, plays beautifully. Just gotta get used to the controls. That's me that's screwing up my controls. Wow, I actually beat that guy. Alright, I don't have the right key for that door. That's a shadow. You can't be killed, but you can only get stunned by your shots. He appears if you take too long clearing a room. Alright, so I think that's enough games for now. Just wanted to kind of show you how this thing works. So I just wanted to kind of give you a little demonstration. Alright, so that was my Atari 400. And like I keep saying, I just thought this would kind of be a novelty purchase, so I usually don't buy these mini consoles, but I'm really surprised at what this little thing can do. I mean, it's not going to substitute for a real Atari computer, but you can do quite a lot with it, just with what comes with it. And I'm sure if I were more inclined into hacking it, I could do even more with it. But I'm really glad I bought this. It's a fun little machine, and hopefully I'll be able to bring some of the games on it to my channel. Anyway, this is a very pleasant surprise today. Glad I got it on launch day. As always, if you liked what you see, hit the subscribe button and tell your friends. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.